Thank you. I guess that was, if I could handle that tech problem.
Yeah.
Hi there, I can hear you now.
Hi, yeah, we are, the TV was turned off. I've never seen that before, so it's. Okay. Are you guys gonna be as parade?
Yes. The only question I really have, it's a silly question, but what attire should we?
No, that's really not silly.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
we're gonna be walking, it's gonna be cold.
Yeah.
Not wearing a suit.
No, don't wear, I mean, don't look like a bum,
Yeah.
but, you know, I'll be wearing a winter coat because I can't handle 70 degrees weather. I actually been trying to see, is it gonna be cold?
Yeah, it's like 35. It's the coldest day remaining of the week.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then it jumps up into the
Oh, yeah,
50s.
and windy.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
little windy.
but yeah, I mean, we're walking, so sneakers or whatever walking
Okay.
shoes that are comfortable, it's perfectly fine. I may put my button, my pin on my winter coat, just to.
My dad had surgery today, so maybe if I'm not here, I'm just going to. So. He's had
No, it's
surgery last
She said
September
that
and.
she wouldn't be getting packets again because of how much stuff was in it. It's-
Oh, yeah, we did. But I thought that was more for
She said.
council.
She
No,
said
I know.
committee meetings too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I
What?
Committee meetings.
Yeah, if you want the hard copies, you're supposed to ask them, he said.
I thought that was until we get our computers. I don't have my computer yet. Does anybody?
No.
I thought the hard copies were gonna keep coming until we got it.
Well, I brought my computer, so I can take yours.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Well, good evening.
So,
So, right.
oh, yeah, you want paper.
I mean, you want to, I don't even have a.
Oh, yeah.
Steve is known to be the most demanding.
You get my communication.
Yeah, I'll just. You probably should. I'll just send it to communication.
All right, do you take checks?
I agree with you. It should go.
How's it going?
There's no reason for not to go.
When I'm down, I ain't doing good. Everything's great. Everything's good. Everything's great. My family, everything good. Healthy. What?
Are you looking?
Everything ready?
I haven't heard,
Green sweatshirt.
I'm just trying to call and you guys, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Board meeting, what's the other name?
Yes.
Power outage.
Still already.
Oh, so he lives now.
Yeah. Full time now.
Schoolwork, trying to do politics. Of course, I didn't get my school stuff done. It was supposed to be done right today.
Did she call me? Michelle, would you pull up some blank mini reports?
No, do you want me to?
I got, is that locked? Yeah.
These are kind of my word version.
I didn't want to harm this because
Okay.
changes or.
Can I get the number and passcode for one of our board members, please?
You got it?
Yep,
Is there someone she can go and?
yeah, well, it's on our city website, but I think it's right here, so
Okay. So can you hear me, Rosie?
here's show me the webinar ID, so this is that number, 858
So it's 858.
7971. So the number is 858
Thank you.
7971 9474.
You can see.
Okay, put this one down. So this is lowercase m as in Mary. 74. Lowercase I as in April. Uppercase H as in Henry. Uppercase N as in Nancy. Uppercase R as in Roger. And lowercase K.
Good, how are you doing? Well, thank you.
No problem, go ahead. No problem.
All right, good evening, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order here at 6:35. And see if we can run it into disorder. All right. The first item of business, which is not on the agenda, is our report from John Dewey, the Comptroller, of the state of our finances in the city.
Sweet water, no, that's got it.
Thank you, sir.
So, Randy, as I mentioned to you on the phone, we're still in an in-between period on measuring the finances. We're still tallying up 2021 figures. It's a little too early for 2022. I would expect next month we'll report on the figures through 2022 figures through February. At the following meeting, I will have our internal 2021 numbers finalized, and I'll report on that at the May meeting. In the meantime, the sales tax collection for 2021 are final. They did end up at 17,809,000 for the year versus a budget of 13,865,000. So nearly 4 million over budget, 21.67% over the prior year. So exceptionally strong sales tax figures for 2021.
That's the way we like to do it.
Yeah, it was a good year, and despite everything that happened, there was a lot of terrible things with the virus. And, but you saw this inflation took hold of our numbers. The sales tax really climbed, and at least in the earlier part of the year, you had a large increase in consumer spending, which started to tail off. The bottom of the finance update, the narrative, I've given some updated figures for our investment accounts. We still have a 2021 contingency balance of nearly $415,000. And as we move towards the next meeting, I say the next meeting, the special meeting, or we said, whatever you want to call it, the budget start transfer meeting at the end of this month. You will see some draws from contingency, but I do expect that the $415,000 balance that we have right now will be adequate to cover any transfer that we need a contingency for. And I've given you the unassigned fund balance once again for 2020, When I report on 21 numbers, I'll give you updated figures there. And we'll have to make some decisions what we're gonna do upon balance, in work for the policy. And that would be at the May meeting, I'll give you our internal figures. All right?
Yeah, so Steve, let's remind everyone that we're gonna have a special finance meeting on the 30th of March at 6:30 here. And the main agenda item, or main agenda items, will be bringing all the books into order, moving money around within our various departments so that we can try to get everything to equal out to zero. Or plus.
And as we did in last year, I'm going to handle the transfers for a lot of smaller departments that have minor overages, just to move things along. All the major departments and all their departments will have their own transfers, but hopefully we'll try to keep that agenda short as we can, but we'll still take a little time to get through.
Okay, any questions, comments from John?
Get to wrap the box and get a final number for 21.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
All right, then, we will move to the action items on the agenda here. So the first one is actually a couple of things from DPW. These are fairly simple, so John and I will just go over these.
So yeah, let me just call off the agenda now. There's two transfers there. One is for retirement payout, as many of you know, we don't budget in individual departments' budgets, retirement accumulations. We leave those monies in contingency. As someone separates service, the department will put in a transfer to take that money from contingency. So that's one of the transfers. The other transfer is there was an accident that resulted in damage to city property, and the city received an insurance reimbursement, and the request is to utilize that insurance reimbursement revenue to fix the equipment, replace the equipment. So two pretty straightforward transfers and the financial impact. Well, the first one was the contingency, but the second one is neutral.
All right. So the first item here from Public Works is for resignation payout, retirement accumulation. It's moving $31,235 from contingency, same amount, to resignation payout, retirement accumulation. The estimated financial impact would be $31,235. Do we have a motion to discuss?
Motion.
Second.
And I did not have to. Oh, good, thank you. Thank you.
I don't have that. I don't have the resolution. The committee reports.
I think committee reports are just, those are all of them, right? Right there, just printed out.
So we're doing this 131,594 first.
31,235 from Ed Norman.
Did you print down, it should be on page 5.
I have no idea. This is in my mailbox.
That might be old.
All right, doesn't matter. Don't want to use it.
So is there any discussion on that?
No.
Hearing no discussion, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Oops, sorry. All right, the second item from Department Works is Department of Public Works, is moving $5,136.80 from streetlight insurance recovery to some amount streetlight electric materials, estimated financial impact $0. Do you have a motion to discuss?
Motion.
Second.
Take a little quicker. All right, is there any discussion? All right, thank you, insurance.
Is this one of the, streetlights that was, you know?
This is the ongoing process.
Or you can
Yeah,
specifically?
yeah, is this,
I
I
don't
know
know.
that something got wiped out, right, during an accident recently?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, it was a pole.
on Broadway?
All right, so any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right,
I want to see.
the next item, two items actually from Ruth Deb Frank. The first one here, both of these are in essence moving funds that we already used to before. So this is authorizing expenditure of $1 million through the grant placed on the agenda. City applied for this grant through the 2019 CFA round and was awarded $1 million in December 2019. This is all part of the Dietz renovation project. And John, is this the one, or was the other one that's going to have, basically this is putting this money in now, is the one that's going to lower our debt?
That would be the next one.
The next one, okay. But this $1 million is basically paying off grant money that we're going to be getting back, right?
Yeah, this is just authorized to spend money in the first instance, that will be reimbursed by a grant.
Okay, so it looks like $1 million, but it's not really. Ruth Ann, do you want to say anything about this one? I didn't see you sneak in there.
I didn't realize my camera wasn't on. The audio is going in and out, so I apologize that I'm not there in person. I don't think there's additional information to add to it unless you have specific questions.
All right, does anybody have a question for Ruth Ann on this one?
How much is this money again? Again, I don't have my stuff.
$1 million?
You want to see it?
Yes, please.
Well, yeah, it's $1 million, but
What is it for?
because we're moving it.
Is this moving money that we already had?
It's just to authorize to spend money under the grant so that we can get reimbursed under the grant.
And where is this money being spent for? Repaving? Is that what I'm reading?
It's for the Dietz project.
It's basically the green infrastructure.
Yeah, it's specifically designated for green infrastructure improvements to the parking lot areas. So it will include repaving, but we'll be using certain elements such as permeable pavers and bioswales, stormwater street trees, and other types of climate-friendly materials.
Right. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Do you want to see it?
I'm good. Thank you.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering when we expect this work to move forward.
This will be toward the very end of the full construction of the whole stadium. So tentatively, we're looking at the work probably beginning sometime in, let me make sure I'm just calculating this correctly, spring of 2024.
Okay, thank you.
Possibly fall of 2024. We'll know a little bit better shortly what the tighter schedule will be.
Unrelated, I was just asked to ask everybody to speak up a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's probably my voice that's going in and out, not your audio. All right, any further questions here for Ruth Ann? All right, then do we have a motion to discuss?
Motion. Second.
All right, any discussion? Discussion on this? Hearing none, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, passes unanimously. And then the next item, Ruth Ann, you want to tell us a little bit about this one?
This is also, it's authorizing expenditure of the Deets Capital Reserve, which is at approximately $300,000 right now. And as John mentioned, it'll help lower our debt if we put this into the project. So we're just authorizing expenditure of those funds for the same project. But it gives us a little more flexibility of where we can use it as needed.
Okay, questions for Ruth Ann?
I'm good.
All right, so this reads, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to fully expend the Deets Capital Reserve for the Deets Stadium and Dreda Pool Capital Improvement Project. Estimated financial impact is $298,621.50. For a motion to discuss.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you, Ruth Ann. We appreciate all you're doing.
Thank you very much.
To read those stack of books behind you there. It looks like you're a little.
Oh,
behind
yeah,
reading.
I read all of them. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Right before we start on this next one, I have a committee report to talk about.
Okay. All right, so we are shifting a little off the agenda here. You want to tell us what this is about?
So this was on the agenda, the council chamber next.
Mm-hmm.
So what this is a request from John Tice to utilize funds that the city has in a what's called a committed fund, basically or fiduciary type nature. They were donations that were made on behalf of Ed Ford for the express use to be used towards the net restoration. This is simply asking permission of the common council to utilize the funds for that purpose.
Okay, any questions about this then?
I'm gonna recuse myself because my son is actually in the program that's doing the work.
All right, thank you for that. Anyone else?
Is this gonna, are we covered to get these completed now?
Well, this, John could speak to the, is he here? I don't know if he's here.
He's not here.
But the letter explains what this will be for, fabricating, installing the two missing events council chambers. So this will go to the purpose of finishing our work.
Okay.
In just in a broader conversation, anytime that we use these committed funds, because we have funds that are for a variety of purposes that are restricted, we'll come to the common council and ask you for permission. Because you restrict them in the first place, so then we come to the council to authorize the use of those funds for those restricted purposes.
So basically, someone gave us money to do this, and now we're authorizing the use.
Yeah, so what'll happen is when we get these restricted donations, we'll, to set up like a new fund, we'll come to the council and ask for permission to accept these donations for that purpose. And then, when it comes time to spend money, we'll come back and request that authorization to spend.
You all right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, so any other questions for John about this? All right, the report reads, from engineering, a resolution authorizing use of committed funds in the Ed Ford Memorial Fund for materials and supplies to be used for the creation of two decorative lunettes for the Common Council Chambers, City Hall. Funds will be provided to volunteer organization on a reimbursement basis. Required 2022 budgetary transfer as follows. Increase engineering contracted services. So taking the money from decreased fund balance committed. So the financial impact here is $4,021.32. And kind of not really, but anyway, motion?
Second.
All right, is there any discussion? All right, well, we are happy to be able to honor the long life and work of Ed Ford in this way, and we're also proud that people are willing to actually put money forward to do that. So Hearing no discussion, call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. All right.
For that, Lisa remembers.
We're gonna put the other two items, well, actually, one item from John Schulteis later in the program here because he and Rita are at a different meeting that should be ending here in a few minutes, and then they will, be present. So I think too that we're only going to be talking about Franklin Street.
Provide this Franklin Street on there.
Are we
Yeah.
waiting for the Henry Street too for John then?
One of them, he said he wanted to hold off.
I believe it was number 600 Street, you wanted
Yeah.
to table.
Oh,
You want the table or just hold on?
Henry Street, he wanted table, he wasn't ready for this meeting,
All right.
for Henry Street.
So is he gonna be here for,
Yeah,
so Franklin Street, we're waiting till he comes in?
that's correct.
So we're waiting for Franklin Street and we're tabling Henry Street.
should we
Yeah.
put on the March 30th? We're just waiting for April.
He said he's coming.
What was that?
He said he's coming.
No, for Henry Street, he asked for it to be
Oh, oh.
tabled, so I just wasn't, I didn't thought to him just to make
Yeah.
sure everything on the appropriate.
We'll put that on the
I
business.
don't know if that March, the second March meeting was even on his radar. So,
So item number 7 is the economic recovery plan. This is on here partly because we're in motion talking about how to, the best way to go about this. But I thought what we could do tonight would actually be to discuss having a public hearing and having the consultants, LaBerge, come that evening and present. So they would present not just to the common council, but any members of the public who want to be present. President Schott and I talked about the possibility of this. I forgot the exact date. Did you?
I don't think we picked a date, so I figured we'd just talk tonight.
Okay.
Why aren't we having a special finance meeting on the 30th?
Yes, so I mean, we
Be
just,
between that. Or we're gonna have it on the same day as the special finance.
it's gonna be a long meeting,
I know.
so I would say you probably don't want to do that.
No, I definitely don't want to.
Okay. Yeah, and the other issue is that it could be somewhat complicated. We'd also like to have time to get more public response. And then we'd like to have some time to actually think about it, after we hear from folks in the public. So where are we at? We're at the 9th here. Thursday, the 24th.
Can I ask the opinion, I mean, so we would have the consultants come in, and then it's a public hearing, which typically public hearings would have public comment. So would that be the idea, so you'd have the consultant and then open time for public comment? Is that
That's what I
you're thinking?
envisioned, but totally open to discussion about how to do it.
Kind of what I thought.
Oh. All right, so do like give them a time limit of how long to present, and open it up.
Mhm.
Oh. I could, yeah, 24 could work.
Does that work for other people on the committee?
What time would we? Typical 6:30 or?
Usually 6:30, but I mean,
We
could
could, I
say
mean,
seven.
we could do 7 if that's,
That's gonna be a long thing. We're gonna have him talk and make his presentation, then we're gonna open up to public hearing.
yeah, well, I think, when we first started talking to the mayor about this, he was talking about them presenting for about 15 or 20 minutes.
That's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I felt like, I think what you're considering here, that seems a little short to me, but,
I would just suggest that we just keep it at 6:30 like all our other meetings.
Lisa just texted me that she's not available on 23rd or 24th. 23rd is public safety anyway.
22nd then?
I didn't even know the 23rd was public safety.
22nd is community development.
21st?
21st could work.
I can do the 21st.
Steve, Tony, 21st?
That is 3 meetings that week, but for some.
So what's the final?
Are you complaining that that's not enough?
What is this gonna be called? Public hearing, what?
Yeah, consultant presentation and public hearing.
On what is this, what's the item again?
And then
Economic recovery? And what's the final date?
We're talking about the 21st of March.
Can we do it at 7? Would everybody be okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I'm always okay with meeting a little bit later.
You do it.
7, so it's
Because
Monday.
then I don't have to shovel my supper down the road. That's very TMI. So, Alyssa, have you got that? Is that all right for you?
Yes, the 21st at 7 PM.
Yes,
Got it.
Is that in the paper?
I'll call for it tomorrow.
That's something to do with that, so.
All right.
Mhm.
Do we need to have a vote on that?
Should.
Are we like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to the council, so, but it never hurts to.
I mean, like, I like by voting or making this, we're kind of like officially accepting it.
Right, okay, well, let me go get a. Let me do a quick page. Unless, do you have any blank?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
What is,
I don't
you're
think
asking
we
whether or
need-
not you need to vote to call a meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Set a public
no,
hearing.
no, I think so.
You're not taking legislative action, this is.
yeah, and we just, we're not bringing it to the council, because this is happening before the council meeting is taking place.
We don't need
All right,
it. In some paper.
in that case, so the fire inspection fee issue, Alderman Hill unfortunately is not able to attend tonight, so we're going to put that into old business for next month. Is that okay, Alyssa? Can you put that under old business for next month?
So we table.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Let's see. So Rita is saying that she will be here in about 10 minutes. So that means John Schulteis will be here in about 10 minutes. So I would suggest then, since I have to recuse myself on the items related to the Kingston Housing Authority, if we could go to the old business, the City Hall renovations proposal. We could talk about that. And then we will hopefully get John Schulteis and Rita Worthington here. We can then do the Franklin Street issue, and then all y'all will move into the KHA stuff. Is that all right? Everybody okay with that? Well, does that mean we're being spied on by Russia?
Nope.
Just Lisa.
Oh, it's Alyssa, okay.
Just me.
All right, so does everybody see, we've got now some actual numbers here. And so, where are they here? And also there's the second bit in the, under the calendar for tonight. There's the item marked additional material, and it presents the possible furniture that we're talking about in color. So it gives a little bit better sense of what it is we'd be looking at in terms of the institutional feel.
You have a color picture.
More.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
the second part. Or
Yeah, I'm still going through the, no.
What color is the picture? So are we open after this? We open for questions or?
Hey, yeah, we can ask questions now. Yeah, so this is the time to ask questions of Alyssa.
And what color is this furniture supposed to be?
Well, the color, I think we have choices for the color of everything, for the chairs, for the tables, everything. while they were here, I did ask to, that they included possibilities for new chairs for the 9 of you in front of your, your desk out there, because I know a lot of you are uncomfortable in the chairs that you have. So that's in there as well. And again, this is up to you to decide what we do or don't do. That was not in the original 4 rooms that we had discussed, but we were walking through the building and I said, everything in here is fine except for these chairs. So if you want to just give us some numbers and they can see what their options are. So the information that you have does not include doing repairs to conference room 2. So I'm sure all of you at this point have seen the terrible shape that conference room 2 is in, and they don't do that type of renovation. So my request for $100,000, we had originally discussed $80,000, but my request is for $100,000 so that conference room 1 can be taken care of. The ceiling needs to be replaced, as you know. I'm sorry, conference room 2. I see you all look up. Sorry about that. Conference room 2. No, so you really should, if you haven't, go over to conference room 2 and look up and look around. The HVAC system had leaked terribly, which caused a tremendous amount of damage to the ceiling and the walls. Also outside of conference room 2, in front of the ladies' room, that ceiling had to be removed because we did have mold as a result of the water leak. So when the mold abatement crew came in, they had to remove that as well. So there's just big holes in the ceiling right now. So that includes that additional money would be to replace all of that sheetrock and take care of the damage.
All right, yeah, because I'm seeing here, it only says 86,000, so then this on our.
Right, so my request is for more than that.
Okay.
Well, we might want to add in a little extra even on top of that, because with the prices going haywire the way they are, I mean, we could have an increase in cost from one day to the next. So we might want to put in like $500,000 or $600,000. That's a joke. All right. So the first thing to do would be to look through here and I think ask everyone if you are good with each of these purchase items. So actually, I think what we should really do would be, there's not a committee report for this, is there?
I did leave one in your office and in the majority leaders, it's in there. I hand wrote one.
You hand wrote one. All right.
It's in your stack.
All right, I'll run get that. So it might be.
It's also blank ones, just in case the council wants to make changes.
We may have to edit it. We're going to add some contingency money or so.
Yes, we might. This goes first.
I just like to make sure this furniture is trying to be as close to matching what furniture color we already have in this building.
Yes.
There ain't a coalition going on in this whole entire city hall.
Right. So yes, she was trying to match, for example, your chairs out in chambers do not match your desks. So I believe what they sent now does match your desk. The color of the wood matches better.
I think there's like 5 different colors in chambers, which we discovered when we were doing the equipment, Kyle and I.
Yeah, yep. I guess they just got what they could, right? I guess, I don't know. But they were trying to match the products that we had, with durable products, but also fit the style of the building.
Yeah, and ones that easily move up and down, that to me is really crucial.
Especially for short guys.
Especially for tall guys. All right. So anyway, let's do it this way. I think we need to have a motion to discuss in a second.
Motion.
Okay, Tony Davis. Michael Lavieri. Let me just read you what it says right now. It says requesting a transfer from contingency in the amount of $100,000 for renovations and updates at City Hall from contingency to building maintenance. At some point, if we do decide to purchase all the items in the list here, I would suggest revising this to say in the amount of up to $110,000 to allow for if you have unexpected costs in renovating conference room 2, or if there's a change in some change in the price of the items that we're looking at.
Go on, Michelle.
Michelle?
I don't know how I feel about the furniture right now. I'm wondering if we could do a separate committee report for conference room 2 renovations to the building, and then to that room, and then do the furniture separate.
Okay, so hold on to that, because I think
Okay.
that would need to be a motion and a second.
Okay.
Let's hold that on as a possibility. Other folks here, what's your opinion about these numbers and the different items suggested?
So was it the Standard Commercial Interiors that designed, like, that's who we're getting all this furniture from?
This company, that's what this company does.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear, there was a
Yeah,
noise.
yes, that's what this company does. This is the company that Don Tollerman had spoken with.
Okay, I'm a little concerned over the prices of these things. Just me personally, the price of these chairs, that's the one that's really catching my eye the most. Just seems very, very, very expensive.
Council chambers, you mean?
Council chambers are just, if you look at any of them, when they break down the chairs, I mean,
Like in council chambers, is just the chairs, which eyeballs to me too. So you're talking about almost $1,000 per chair.
yeah, but if you look under, in the mayor's office, for example, we're looking at,
Furniture and carpet, yeah, I don't know what that furniture includes.
yeah, $654 for one chair,
Oh, see, I don't see that. breakdown.
$1,000 for 2 guest chairs.
So, excuse me, I just want to remind you that it's on, these items are on a state bid.
What does that mean?
We have to use specific companies for this.
So these are bid items off the state. We can't. So, all right.
It means that if you go with this, if something's on state bid, then you can procure that without bidding.
Yeah.
But you could also, there's nothing preventing you from bidding when something is on state contract either, so.
I mean, the reason why this is bringing up for me is just like at my UCAT job, we just, like, I needed a new chair and someone else needed a new chair, so we went to Staples with our tax exempt form, and each one of us picked up a chair. She got a super nice one that was $300. You know, and so it's like, I understand these are on state bid, and I understand we don't have to go through the RFP process, but, you know, does that mean like we're excluded from seeking other places, i.e. Staples or something like that?
No, I think it's more, no, you can procure it any way you want, but as long as you're following procurement policy. The difference is, for my office, we spend, I think it's like hundreds of dollars a chair. Those chairs don't look like these chairs. Those are some of the qualitative decisions you have to make. These, this is your, the city showpiece, right? The council chambers, these are, so, that's.
Yeah.
The chairs, I have this, I have a pleather chair that, I grabbed out of the hallway, it's probably $150, but, But once again, just state contract purely means that it's been procured competitively through the state. It doesn't mean that you have to buy it, right? So.
Hey, listen, is there a warranty with these chairs and tables and all?
I believe it comes with a standard I thought she said it was 5 years. I can find out on that.
Prices for the mayor's office, waiting.
So go
Mayor,
to actually his office.
on this thing here,
Yep, so it'll be like, it says 134 mayor's office. And I'm not picking on the mayor, I'm just, that's the one I'm.
Well, even-
Pick a
even-
different one if we want.
Even in the mayor's conference room, those chairs, I mean, they're a step up
So
from
now-
the chairs that we would be putting in
Okay,
here.
scroll down. Yeah, keep going.
If you have not been in the mayor's conference room, if you are sitting in the chair and you go to get up, the arm sometimes comes with you. The chairs are quite old that are in there and they are really falling apart. The bottoms as well.
You see it?
yes, I do.
Well,
I'm not denying that the things need to be replaced, I'm just,
Maybe not so
Right.
fancy.
I think there's alternatives that we could maybe substantially get this number down and be able to do the other things we were talking about and still stay within our original budget here.
The guest chairs in the mayor's office are over 1,000, like, that's even more than the council chairs.
Right, I get the, you know, because it's also about looks and chambers, you want it to match the, kind of the ambiance of the awesomeness of chambers, but again, these are more expensive, and I think some of the conference rooms are just as expensive as those too. So I get the rationale for chambers, but I agree, I don't get the rationale for some of these other rooms. New chairs, but just not as
Now,
expensive.
I understand this is on the the state bid, so we don't have to go through the process, but is there a particular limit that where it doesn't necessarily have to go there? So, because I know, for example, with the county, after, I forget the exact number, but if it's under X amount of dollars, we don't have to seek an RFP. So that's my question, like,
Well, what we're talking about here, it would have to, no matter how even if you carve off a few of these things, you're gonna have to competitively procure it in some fashion.
mhm.
You know, whether or not you get under a bid threshold, I think is unlikely. So it's either bid quotes or, state contracting. Either way, you'll have to competitively procure.
So you just can't go to Staples, you're saying, or whatever furniture store around.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about going out and just spending a couple $1,000s on some chairs, then, if you're under the quote threshold, the procurement policy.
Okay.
But, in all likelihood, you'd have to get quotes even then, but, I think really what you're looking at is more, I don't know that it's you're looking at, it's more the quality of the furniture that you're looking at rather than, I think, the price. I think the price may match up with the quality of the furniture you're getting. Just keep in mind, I mean, the furniture we're talking about for our private offices that, we have in my office is not this quality of furniture. And I'm not saying that, whether there should or shouldn't be a difference. I mean, this is, I don't have visitors in my office really, right? I mean, it's just for me to sit in it. But, these are, generally pieces of furniture that last for years. I mean, I think the furniture we're talking about in the mayor's room, conference room, council chambers and here, I mean, this is all original furniture going back, where are we now? Over 20 years, right? So, you're trying to acquire furniture that's gonna last. I mean, the furniture in my office, it's less expensive furniture, but it's not gonna last. I mean, so, I mean, those are qualitative decisions you have to make, but either way, you're gonna have to competitively procure it.
Now, being that there's really not a lot of technology that goes involved in this, what guesstimated time frame would we be looking at if we put this out for bid? And just said, okay, like, this is the designs that we're looking for. I mean, it could take, I know some of them go really quick, some of them can be drawn out.
I think what first has to be decided is what's wanted, right?
Mhm.
What's desired. The process of actually going out to bid, I mean, it might take up to 30 days to develop the bid. Typically, you give 30 days for responses. So you're 60 to 90 days out.
So is it, the conference room, photo for this conference room, the table? Is that a comparable size?
Yes, I believe it's the same size.
Okay.
And again,
So that's
you know,
good as
you might
well.
decide that the table doesn't need to be replaced. You know, that table is actually in really good shape. But again, if you go to conference room 2, there is not a single piece of furniture in conference room 2 that should stay in conference room 2. You really should go walk through there and look at the table and the chairs.
No, I did.
I mean, we could, if we purchase stuff for in here, which is the room that's used most frequently, we could then put this table in conference room 2. We could recycle.
Would it fit though?
Would this fit in there at least?
I don't think it will, because the conference room 2 is set up differently. And there's the stairs in there that lead to the attic. So I actually don't think that table will fit in there.
So I guess my next question is if, and this is gonna be more geared towards you. If we said, okay, let's submit this for an RFP and, RFQ. Can we still go with the state bid, or would we at that point have to?
No, you can still go with the state bid. But I think where you're gonna run into an issue is you have to define exactly what you're looking for.
Mhm.
So are you looking for a, eloquent guest chair, fully upholstered wood frame? I mean, are these, like, you have to define what you're looking for, because you have to, when you're bidding, you gotta compare apples to apples. It has to be apples to apples, and, problem when you go out to bid for stuff like this, unless you really define exactly what you're looking for, you could get 2 bids, one could be higher than the other, but, the product might not be the same. I mean, we're talking, generally with bids, right, it's 10 widgets, I need 10 widgets, what's your price for 10 widgets, what's your price for 10 widgets? Very easy to compare bids. But if you're getting furniture that's not the same furniture from different businesses, to have, for the bid to be good, you really need, gotta define very well what you're asking for. Exactly, the dust, the quality, the style, things like that.
In my
I
opinion,
mean, for that reason, I'm sorry,
No, go
but for that reason, sometimes it is better to go with like a state contract, because it's been competitively procured. But it doesn't mean that, let me take another step, it doesn't mean that this is the only furniture on state contract, right? I mean, you can look at, the book and see what else is available. This isn't in the price range council's looking to spend on.
I mean, and this is my opinion, I think we need to just go with some of these areas right now, and then we can always come back the following year. To me, I can deal with what we're having here. I just come in here to sit. I don't need any fancy chair to sit to do what we need to do in these chambers. And it's the same as the chambers right now. Those chairs are all matching. And I think, I've been going for 6 years. I sit in that chair once a month. And so I think if we're gonna look at this, and the priority to me would be the corridor, because I don't think there's any seats out there. And again, we might be able to use some of this furniture that we're gonna replace to put in the corridors for people to sit. That would have to be, this is my opinion, I say do the corridor, the mayor's office, and conference room 2. And we can always come back a year to talk about these other things. I think we should just piecemeal this and not have such a big item. And main things, the mayor's office, which, for all indications, he does a lot of business in there, and to have it and get up and the arm is coming with you, is not a good sign. And I think we might be able to, if you're replacing the mayor's furniture, you might be able to use some of that furniture if you need to in the conference room 2, or you can always look and say, should we take some of this furniture and put it somewhere else? But I think, my thing is the corridors, the mayor's room, the mayor's office, the corridors, and conference room 2, because that again is where the city hall employees have to eat. And I would just put those out there, off of this bid or wherever, and then in another year or so, come back and see piecemeal, now do we want to go to furniture for another place? That's my.
Can we take Rochelle's suggestion and just go room by room, and then if some of them, like the corridor that we want to pass right now, we pass it, and then some we say we definitely don't want, wait next year, or when we say we want a table, and see if we can get a lower cost on chairs?
Do like a little straw poll for each one?
Or even just, well, we could do that, want to start with that and see, but, or just write individual committee reports. But if you're more comfortable, you don't want me to make you do all that work.
No, because I'll make John do it. Okay.
So my only objection to that is by saying, okay, let's just for simplicity's sake, say tonight, we're gonna say, okay, yes, it's the mayor's room, we're using this as that. So if we want any sort of, I just blanked on the word, cohesiveness in the different areas, then it's almost like, okay, well, we're still gonna have to go off of this. Because, this is where we get this particular chair, this is where we get this particular table, this is where we get this particular thing. So if we're utilizing this and we're saying, okay, let's approve the mayor's office right now, theoretically, we're saying, okay, we may do it in stages, but we're still gonna utilize this company and pay these prices.
Well, I know the mayor's office, though, there doesn't have to be continuity with up here.
Yeah, I don't think it's continuity throughout the building of what the mayor's furniture looks like compared to us. I don't think it's all the same. And I just think, if we're gonna do room by room, that what's in the room should be cohesive.
Yeah.
So, and that's the only thing I'd say. I mean, the mayors can have different furniture than what we have in the chambers or what's in conference room 2 versus conference room 3. And we do hear, and Elise is saying, and who's speaking for most of the people here in City Hall, that their break room is disgusting.
Sure.
And we are hearing from many people who say that going to the mayor's office, which is the central part of the City Hall, really, is, not that great. And we've been hearing, and again, the corridor saying that, people don't have any place to sit. That's why I really appreciate. When I come through City Hall, I don't see a lot of places where people can sit outside somebody's office if they have to wait. And again, I don't know if we need new furniture or we take the existing what we have and replace it out there. And I would rather see us try to use what we have here, if it's usable in some places, than instead of just saying we're throwing it all out. And so, that was my opinion on this when I was talking about the hallways. I mean, I was just talking about it should be a seat or something out front in most of these main departments that maybe they have to wait and, for somebody to come before they can go into their office. And it doesn't have to be new furniture, not sure. And I would suggest that we have new furniture for the mayor's office. We have new furniture, we have new stuff for the break room, conference room 2. And that's my opinion, but we can go back to the straw vote, so we're gonna keep on going back and forth.
Well, I have a question. You brought up a point about maybe recycling some, you mentioned that too. But if there's some stuff that we're not still in decent shape, I know some things that we do, like when we bought the microphones, we sold, but we had the old ones. I mean, would we be selling that stuff or,
Well, we do have
these chairs
we have,
I mean,
we have a relationship with a company which we do sell surplus equipment and furniture. So what we would get for that, I don't know. I mean, whoever would buy would have to come here and pick it up.
I was more just thinking.
I
In a
just,
landfill where it could be used someplace versus getting millions of dollars for this table.
There's plenty of places throughout the city, different offices, different employees, that if you had surplus after you refilled the need for the City Hall's main general areas, that anything of quality,
They'll be grabbed.
it will go somewhere.
even like these
I can
chairs
assure
here,
you that.
some of these chairs might be a good guest chair in an office. That might be.
Given the size of some of the houses Hayes Clement is selling these days, this would be a dining room table in somebody's house.
My dining
So,
room
they're
table.
gonna be
Do we know that if the chairs for conference rooms or the mayor's office are actually comfortable? Like, has anyone been able to actually I felt like I would, you know, like you don't want to buy a mattress
Yeah.
online.
Michelle,
Like,
Michelle's asking for a booty test.
We were invited to go to the showroom, which is in Albany, and
Okay.
I did not take them up on that offer since it would take, you know, most of a day for me to go up to sit on a chair. But
I mean, it is a good point because the reason why we went to Staples is because the chair was purchased for myself and for her and we didn't like them.
Yeah.
So we had to, basically, we just ate the cost and put them somewhere else. But I mean, when you're talking $500 to $700, $800 for a chair, we definitely want to make sure that
Yeah.
either it's comfortable or they have a good return policy.
Especially
Oh,
since the biggest reason we're getting rid of them is because they're not comfortable. So.
they, I'm sure that they would be more than happy to bring some items down.
Okay. If we're gonna go forward with this, we want to make sure someone is looking at the quality before we finalize the purchase.
Suppose tonight we just, okay, some money for the renovation of conference room 2. Because it sounds like we still have furniture questions, some other possibilities. And then what I'd like to do is to have a member of the finance committee volunteer to be the point person to follow this through over the next month so that we don't wait a whole month. How does that sound to folks?
A point person for what?
Well, perhaps to go, you know, to look into the other possibilities of how to purchase these. We got a couple of different questions on the table. You know, is there a way to purchase these cheaper? There's also just the potential items that are available through state bid. There might be less expensive ones. So
My thought is, I don't see how you're going to be the outfit, let's for instance, the mayor's office, like going to Staples. If we're talking about the whole, I'm not sure what we're talking about the mayor's office. We talking about his desk, the chairs and everything?
not his office, the conference room.
No, I think it was his office as well, right?
Well, the office
It
is
was the chairs. So the chairs over, when you first go in and you're with the mayor's secretary,
Right, okay.
those chairs, if you were to look, like really look at them, there's holes in the upholstery. I mean, they're beautiful antique chairs, but they should either be reupholstered or replaced. They are in very rough shape. And Dan is shaking his head yes, because he knows how bad it is when you actually look around. The furniture is very old. Even the chairs in the mayor's office are literally falling apart.
All right.
Well, first, can we agree that we need to put some money aside to renovate conference room 2?
Yes.
Are you good with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, then, let's do a quick straw poll. So who is in favor of new furniture in the corridor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's all 5.
Let me go back on this. I got this. If we're gonna have access furniture in locations, I'd rather see that furniture be used in the corridor than us to go out and buy new furniture in the corridor.
So it has to be a holistic decision. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. I'd rather see furniture with access just to be put out, chair to be put out in front of someone's office. I don't think we need to go out and purchase a whole furniture for that, so.
Tony,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you and anyone else to walk across chambers and go in conference room 2.
Yeah, I did.
Right now, go look at that furniture.
Yeah,
There
we're
is not
talking about
a piece
conference
of
too. We're talking
furniture.
we're talking
I know.
about corridor.
I know, but if you're saying take furniture from another room and put it in the corridor, that furniture should not be seen by anybody. I mean, you have got to go look in conference room 2. Seriously, just walk over there right now and go look at it. And I don't even know where that furniture came from because, like John said, usually if one office is getting rid of something, we'll put an email out to City Hall. Anybody else want this chair? Does anyone need this? Does anyone need that? When I tell you the leftovers are in conference room 2, it's rough.
But what about these benches? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what because we're talking about renovating one of the conference room. I haven't,
Well, we're not,
Well, these are the same benches, I think, just that are out in chambers.
but that's what I'm saying, that maybe put these benches, because these look like they're in good shape out in a corridor.
but we're not talking about buying new benches for here. Is that what you're saying?
Well, in one of these, I don't know if it was just in 213 conference room, it does show the new benches.
We have in the past, for big meetings in chambers, had to actually use all of these benches in chambers. So, I mean, it would just mean somebody would have to carry them upstairs.
Let's just go item by item and see what we're doing.
All right, well, so let's just keep going through. So we agree that we need new furniture for the corridors, wherever that's gonna come from. Mayor's office. That's where Roy is, who would be in favor of new furniture in there.
Well, there's two, there's the reception.
Well, we're doing one at a time.
Okay, so you're
So
on.
mayor's office is 134.
That's the Royals office, you're saying?
No, that would be the mayor's office. Mayor's reception is the other one, 7,000. That's got the really expensive chair on it. So nobody's, we don't think we need to change the furniture in the mayor's office
I think we do need to do the chairs in the mayor's office.
as opposed to the mayor's conference room.
What's the conference room, Roy's office?
No,
There's
that's
three
the,
items for the mayor. One is his office.
Yes.
Where he sits.
Okay.
One is the reception room where Roy sits.
Mhm.
And one is the conference room where the chairs are falling to pieces, the mayor's conference room.
I know there's broken chairs in conference room.
Yeah,
personally, I know I'm not a voting member of the committee. I would like to see if there's a cheaper version of the doors or the chairs for the mayor's conference room.
all we're doing right now is figuring out which rooms we want to do,
Right now,
okay? But then we need somebody over the next month to be looking into these other possibilities for purchasing or thinking about, the price. Could look at the book and maybe there's cheaper chairs and so forth for each of these places. We just need somebody who can do some of that work because Alyssa doesn't really have time to do that.
Thank you.
All right.
Right, so, mayor's office, who thinks we need the new furniture in there? 1, 2, I get 3. 136, mayor's reception, who thinks we need new furniture in there? Was there 135?
Yeah.
0. There you go, 134. Oh, no, that's not. 0, okay. The mayor's conference room, new furniture in there.
I mean, how is the table in there? I mean, you spoke about the chairs, but
The table isn't great. I think there's an issue with the height of the table because it's very old. The chairs don't fit that comfortably underneath it. Just recently, when we were having the carpets shampooed, one of our maintenance accidentally dropped the glass tabletop. So that is no longer there. So it's not great.
36, mayor's conference room. Yes,
Doesn't need the glass top? Does the table need the glass top to be a table?
It takes a lot of wear and tear, and it doesn't need a glass top. I mean, the table you're on right now does not have a glass top, but again, you're talking about an historic building, and what kind of quality furniture do you want in this building? The furniture you have now is subpar.
Yeah.
yeah, Rita.
This building is the people's building. I'm not just talking about the mayor. When people walk into the mayor's office, it should look accordingly. It should look good. I'm not one for spending a whole lot of money. I don't know how long y'all been on this issue. But, I know but people come into this building every single day, and it should look right. And we also go up and sit up in the mayor's conference room. This conference room should look decent. I'm not so, I don't know about his, you know, I'm not so worried about his office, but the conference room where people are gathered together
I don't
and
think,
demand a table.
I don't think anyone's questioning that. It's just, so for example, the mayor's office, the mayor's reception, and the mayor's conference room, $35,000. And I'm not saying like, you know, yes, I don't think anyone here doesn't think that the mayor, you know, that is a representation of the city and of Kingston. But is there a cheaper, not, you know, not dollar store quality, but a cheaper option than $35,000 to simply replace those three things? I don't have that answer. I'm just looking at it as, you know, a $700 chair just doesn't, not pun intended, but.
Okay, so I'm gonna cut off any further discussion. We're gonna do the straw poll. That gives us then a priority order of the things that are there. Whoever volunteers to take care of this over the next month, you'll look into it. We'll come back with some possibilities for under old business next month. All right, so 136, who thinks that, how many people think that that needs to be, the furniture there needs to be replaced? 1, 2, 3.
The conference room.
The conference room, the mayor's
The
conference.
mayor's conference room.
Yes. 4.
I almost took my finger off one.
5. Okay, 209, conference room, up here.
Conference room two. This is the break room too.
Yeah, this is just for the furniture in there, though.
Yep.
Okay, good. 5. 213 is this conference room, new furniture in here. Okay, 1. And then council chambers, new furniture in there, new chairs. 2. All right, good. So we agreed though on renovating conference room 2. So I think we also though have the issue of the carpets in these 134, 135, 136, 209, and 213. That's $11,000. What's any opinion on that very quickly?
If they look like this, then.
If they all look this terrible, at least carpets. Nope, mute.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, I said, yeah, they look pretty bad, and actually the entire building was just shampooed, and it's stained and pretty bad.
That's why I was finding foam everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so do we all agree that with the carpets? Okay, so at the very least, what we could say is on this committee report, we could put in amount of money for renovating conference room 2 and for new carpets. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
That's what you have to struggle.
Yes, okay, so then let's see, that's 10,000, we're talking about another 10,000, 20.
And so do we need to go back to the corridor since there's not much furniture that's going to be repurposed?
Yeah, doesn't look like it.
I mean, the corridor is 1650. That to me is.
I can
People
live with
are
that.
always, when you come in here, people always bend over at the table outside between clerk Collins and the clerk's office. It'll always be there.
It's $1,600 at the same corridors.
And goodness.
Okay, so then that, if we do those two things, that's 12,700. We talked about $20,000 for renovating conference room 2. So we're at 32,700. Is that all right?
We need to see 20 for conference room 2.
Well, because we talked about there would be $14,000, because Alyssa's asking for $100,000.
Oh, that's for the mold.
We talked about adding some more on top of that.
Yeah.
So then I make the motion that we amend the committee report to read requesting a transfer for contingency in the amount of up to do $32,700.
I would just say 3,300, 33,000.
Okay, 33,000.
Give them an extra 300.
$1.
Woo!
About half a chair.
Yeah.
All right, and then for renovation of conference room 2, new carpets and corridor furniture as per attached. Is that okay with everybody?
What line item is she putting in there?
It's coming from contingency and going to building maintenance. Do you want the actual numbers?
Yeah.
It's, well, you know contingency, do I need to? to A1.1620.5443.
Let me give you a different number.
Okay,
It was 6.
A1.1620.
Yeah, I'm just gonna change the bottom, the last 4. But once again, by doing up to, you're not transferring a set amount. That would require Elisa to come back and do a transfer later on. Are we, just so we're clear? So, because if you do a defined amount, you transfer a set amount from contingency to, this furniture line, then she has that amount to spend. If you're authorizing the purchase, it really should be authorizing the purchase of furniture. If the way you're wording this up to a certain dollar amount, with the expectation that the funding will come from contingency, she would have to come back later on to actually do the transfer.
We can just say from contingency in the amount of $33,000?
Yeah, I think it's cleaner just to do the whole thing right now.
Okay.
Let me just give you the last 4. I replaced the last 4 with 5202.
So by July, we should have new
54,
routes.
Number was ready?
Yeah.
It should be 5202.
Does it still read building maintenance then?
Now it's furniture fixtures. Capital,
Will that cover the renovation?
yes, yes.
Did you include that in?
This one.
Alrighty, so
All right, so, but the first is, so we have an amendment, we have to have a second.
second,
All right, so the amendment would read, it now reads, requesting a transfer from contingency in the amount of $33,000 for renovation of conference room 2, new carpets and corridor furniture as per attached at City Hall from contingency to furniture and fixtures. Do we have a second for that?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. So we now have a motion to approve this by Tony Davis, second by Michael Olivieri. Any discussion?
no.
All right. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Excellent. Thank you all.
New carpet by July, okay?
And so is the rest of
Aren't
this,
y'all jealous? We don't have this kind of exciting
Thank you.
process.
So what's the rest gonna happen?
will the rest just go on as old business then for next month? Is
Yeah.
that the-
Yeah, but is there somebody who'll volunteer to look into this?
What's his
Then we'll just have to let it slide then. All right, so John Schulteis is here. John, if you can tell us what you're doing, and then after that, we'll move to the issues relating to KA. Sorry to make you all wait. We're almost done.
Want to discuss,
We did the Lunette. We did the Lunette. That passed, no problem.
Okay.
So the one
So-
here is
right,
Franklin Street, right?
right. Do you recommend a certain place, do I need to be on the screen?
You can see it.
You can see John anyway.
If I move over here.
Yeah, we get
See
it.
you anyway.
So,
All right, so tell us what's up here.
okay, so the Franklin Street, project, if you're not familiar, is, a complete streets, sidewalk, project that, has been underway since, the city received a grant, I believe in 2017 or 18, so, it's been in the design phase, for several years, during which time we looked at various alternatives. I've actually just come tonight from a final advisory committee and public meeting on the project. And we now have a draft final design, and we have construction cost estimates that reflect what we think the bids will come in. So If the funding is approved by the common council, we would move to put the project out for bids in the next approximately 1 month, which could lead us to construction of the project during this summer. And we anticipate 1 season of construction. Since the project was originally conceived, construction costs are up, as we know, and it was originally expected to have a total project cost of 1.5 million. We now estimate 2.6. The grant amount remains the same, unfortunately, at 750,000. I did investigate whether our funding partner, the DEC, could increase their contribution to the project. They cannot. And so the excess costs, this is the purpose of my request here tonight. So it is an increase in the project cost from 1.5 million original estimate, which is now several years old, to $2.6 million. So its nice request is $1.1 million.
Okay, how much have we spent so far on this project, you know?
I don't have the exact figure, but thus far it's just design funds. It's probably on the order of between 100 and 150,000 to arrive at the final design that we have.
Okay, and then on a scale of 0 to 10, how essential is this project? 0 being not essential, 10 being absolutely crucial?
Well, I mean, the project aligns with the goals of the city to enhance traffic safety and accessibility for all users. So it is something that has been was identified as a priority. The grant was applied for. The grant was won in a competitive process, and so it has been identified as an important project in the city.
Okay, good. Questions for John Schulteis?
John, I know, there's been some talk about bluestone, and from what I understand, and not all the bluestone is going to be lost on the street, right? It's going to actually be and reutilized on this project.
Yes, so this is in conjunction with the public outreach that we've done. We've identified that, yes, the bluestone is very important to people out there. There are budget constraints, however, in conjunction with our design process from Washington Avenue to Clinton Avenue, from Wall Street to Clinton Avenue, is going to be bluestone that's going to be reset. So it's, if you've seen the bluestone at UPAC, that's a more modern product. On Franklin Street, we're going to harvest, collect, and inventory and identify the bluestone that's there that can be reused. Not all of it will be able to. Some of it's damaged, but we will collect and reuse where possible to achieve that historic look in that section. The other parts of Franklin Street from Clinton to Broadway will be concrete sidewalk.
Right. One other question. Is any of that sidewalk now ADA accessible? From Broadway all the way to
virtually none of it is, and there are, in general, a lack of curb ramps. So, for ADA accessibility, we talk about the sidewalk itself and then the ramps. And Franklin Street currently lacks the ramps, and large parts of the sidewalk have tripping hazards or exactly buckled by the trees.
So now a big follow-up. So at this time, with these buckles and people fall, what can potentially happen?
Well, the city is exposed to litigation in these cases.
All right, thank you.
Michael?
Yeah, just to clarify, you did say, because I know you said on Wall Street, we're going to reset some of those areas of bluestone. We are also going to do that on certain parts of Franklin, or no?
It will be a completely bluestone between Wall and Clinton, and completely concrete between Clinton and Broadway.
But that is Franklin Street all the way.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's because of the vote of the common council, right?
Yeah, I believe there was a yes, we did come as part of the earlier funding request to let the common council know that, yes, we could do additional bluestone, there would be an additional cost, and the common council did approve
That was Henry.
the differential, sorry, yeah. So in the case, in the case of Franklin, I guess that's part of what's being requested tonight, in the 1.1 million. Some of that cost overage is due to, doing bluestone as opposed to concrete.
So presumably that we would have wanted
Yeah.
that because we did it on that.
One difference between Henry and Franklin is that Franklin, has a historic district, between Pine and Wall. So, by city code, that section is required to be bluestone. So we've taken it in response to what we heard from the PAC, the advisory committee. We've taken it a step further, added between Pine and Clinton as bluestone as well.
Okay, other questions for John?
But we don't know the exact amount that then the increase is for the bluestone itself.
I don't have that itemized.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to discuss?
Motion.
Tony Davis,
Second.
Michelle Hirsch, discussion?
How long do you think this would,
Go ahead.
how long would it take from when we start this project to
5 to 6 months of construction.
5 to 6 months of construction? And then it would be done?
Yes.
And we're widening sidewalks. Is that one of the things?
Well, it's standardizing the typical section. It's going to replace the curb and the sidewalk, and we'll be resurfacing the street.
Okay.
Which needs it.
Just 1 second. And
Any other?
is this from Broadway all the way to York to, is that Wall, Fair to Wall Street? All right, all the way to George Washington, I always think, okay.
Can we just hear how the meeting went tonight?
The meeting was great. So basically, a lot of what John is saying actually derived from the meeting. The developers, they went back and really modified a lot of the design based on public comment. And for instance, the bluestone, the trees, they upped the number of trees that they're going to plant. I think we're up to 34 now. And so some trees will be removed, but they will be replaced. John already told you about the sidewalks being widened. I think they're going to like 5 feet now, right?
5 is the standard in concrete, and 4 is the standard in bluestone. There are some parts of the concrete that will be reduced down to 4 feet.
Yeah.
Where there are constrictions in the right of way, such as steps or fences or hedges that are nearby that we can avoid impacts.
That was one of the big modifications too, that encroachments, a lot of people were worried about encroachments. And so now those steps that have come out, that it won't be touched now. Whereas before, they may have cut some of it off. The only thing that will be bothered, unfortunately, are fences. And so, one of the questions tonight was, if the city is coming in and moving fences or planting trees, then the maintenance then falls on the homeowner. So homeowners, of course, are worried about the cost of that now. And so that's another discussion though with how we can help homeowners out that have to now take care of the maintenance of those issues, those items.
Are there a lot of houses that are going to be affected by that?
Further down, not so much from Broadway.
I think there's like 10 fences.
Yeah, 10 or so, yeah, but it's further down, heading toward Wall. Pine. Yeah.
And there were a decent amount of people there and people who live on the street.
Yes.
They-
Yes.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to correct, I think it was in laws and rules last month. I think it was asked how we notice when we hold these meetings and what kind of outreach are we doing. And one of the older men asked me if we had gone house to house to notice a certain meeting. I wasn't sure that we did, so I said at that meeting that I hadn't. in fact, we did. So we've tried to make a very transparent and participatory process on Franklin Street to involve, the owners, the tenants who are, renters there, surrounding businesses, the local Kingston Library. So that's been, well represented over the course of 3 years with input into this design.
Being that we're going wider with the curbs to make them ADA compliant, what does that actually do to the size, the width of the road?
So the finished roadway will curb to curb will be 29 feet, which is 2 travel lanes of 11 feet and 1 parking lane of 7. So currently on Franklin, there is parking permitted both sides. We're going to be changing that to one side. So as part of this, we did study quantity of parking that's demanded out there. And we've identified that there will be sufficient parking to meet the current demand with room for growth on one side once the project's complete. So that has the effect of the curb to curb width is currently very, very similar to 29 feet. It goes in and out from maybe 28 to 30. So as part of this, we standardize that to 29 feet curb to curb.
That'll just be single side, not alternative parking?
Well, it'll alternate during snow emergencies, but normally it'll be to one side.
Okay.
And there are no driveways, is that? When you go to that doesn't take away, you're not worried about parking on the street.
Driveways will not be affected by this. If anything, it will enhance the driveways.
Okay, so the committee report reads, a resolution approving additional funding of $1,100,000 to be provided by general municipal bonding for the Franklin Street Complete Streets project. Previous resolution 48 of 2019 approved $750,000 in bonding. The DEC grant is expected to reimburse $750,000, and the total project cost is estimated at $2,600,000. So that's the committee report. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion?
Can I just make a comment? I wanted to thank John and Rita for hosting the meeting because it's important. I think
It's appreciated.
Yeah, it was good.
Public really appreciate it.
They thought, they weren't sliding this process, so. Thank you guys for doing that. Yeah.
All right, so then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? All right, any opposed? All right. It passes unanimously.
So when will we start the work?
Late spring, early summer.
All right, so I have a question for you real quick. There's this item, council's role with the Kingston Housing Authority. So that's, I know there's a request on attorney-client privilege with that one. I'm just wondering, as I thought about it, shouldn't it be a laws and rules issue as opposed to finance committee? I don't know if it matters what night we have it on, it just seems like to me that's laws and rules.
Well, I think maybe, but I think because it's going to be related to something coming out of finance, that it makes more sense to have it tonight instead of next week.
Up to you, I just wanted to ask the question, actually.
No, that would make sense, but I think it just makes sense to keep those two items together.
So the last 2 items on the agenda here are that one, and then resolution 25, which is about the KHA request for pilot. So we're going to be sharing that part, yes? So I'll leave that with you. All right, and because I'm recusing myself as a member of the board of KHA.
Sir.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, I'd say let's take a little 5-minute break, and then.
Are you staying?
Oh, no, I'm leaving. I have to leave.
5 minutes?
Yeah. Because that's the only thing.
I don't think you have to leave, right?
What's that?
Yeah, because.
No, I can't be here. I can't be, I have to be out of the room. Right?
Sorry?
I can't be here for the discussion, right?
Yeah, you can stay, you just can't leave. That's all.
See,
It goes both ways, so actually you should, find out if there's any, yeah, my concern. Being part of this discussion, but they, you have a lot of expectations. And, participation.
We're going to do first, right?
But it seems like to me that if it was an issue that came up, it would be somebody who's not here.
Yeah, how do you reach out to them?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things. Yeah, if you're not, I mean, you're not welcome to that.
For me.
You must start moving the furniture.
Yeah. Check out the furniture. See what that furniture looks like.
Or I don't know how. Maybe somewhere else or other people live somewhere else before. I heard council and I went to. I mean, I still think there's nobody on the council that's gonna be.
It's okay.
You should, it's not.
What do we do?
Well, we're gonna have to go into session, so we'll do that there.
Turn it back on.
Yes, we can stay here, we'll just come back. Then that's what we're going into session.
And it's like a.
All right.
So the question.
Yeah. I usually wear. If it's just, I mean, I'll be a jeans anyway.
And it's gonna be like 30 minutes.
It's cold, I wear, shirt and slap and a suit jacket. There's gonna be cold, I'm just gonna have, even that's on my jacket. Okay. That's it. I mean, the real, that has.
Hey, you know, sex? Yeah. Me? Yes.
You know, dress. I use it in the shirt and the jacket. Because still it's nice, it's like a jacket on. It's, so it's supposed to be cold and out the side.
Yeah, they said it's supposed to be like 35. I'm just, like, my job wants to just wear the green, they have a green UCAT hoodie, I'm like, but then I'm like, the first wear stuff,
I put something green on. Yeah, I put something green on. I'm Irish. I usually hand out candy as they're going down there. I just get candy and I just. That's it. That's it. Going on.
So are we gonna need to go? Will the other room or the-
No, we should. Just go to our client.
Right, but everyone's gonna have to leave.
Everybody will have to, unless you want to do the other right. Oh, the project.
And we have to.
But the thing.
Oh, now you want to share, it's empty.
All right.
Is this everyone? Read it. Oh, no, just don't.
Maybe sitting in front of you. Read it in the room.
Yeah.
All right. New chair.
All right, so the next thing on our agenda. Is to go into attorney-client privilege for a discussion regarding the Kingston Housing Authority. So, can I have a motion? A second? Yeah, all in favor?
So go ahead, second.
We're gonna stay here, and so we're gonna, we're gonna kick you guys out, anybody who's not.
Are we gonna?
We're gonna stay here, I'm gonna turn off the
Are
camera.
we going to allow, are we gonna wait and? our assessor-
We're just gonna turn us off here.
So once we finish.
Yeah, I,
You're unmuted.
There we are.
We're here.
Just had to give
Lisa,
a referral with my touch.
she's still muted, so I want to make sure they can hear us.
We're still recording though, so we should be. Are we?
Hi. Okay, thank you. So everybody, since our last meeting, everybody was on camera, so I want to say thank you to everyone for being here. I'm Michelle Hirsch. I'm sitting in for this portion of the meeting to chair for Rennie because he has to recuse himself as he is on the board of the KHA. So if you could all introduce yourselves, that would be great. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Executive Director of KHA.
Good evening. My name is John First. I'm General Counsel for KHA.
Good evening. I'm Joe Mito, Chair.
My name is Billy Gillis. I'm a tenant associate commissioner. Thank you for having us tonight. I'm Carolyn Borsline, Commissioner for the Kingston Housing Authority.
Hi, I'm John Mattio with Mountco Construction Development Corp., the housing authorities and Stipes Insurance Partner.
And I'm March Knox. I'm the Commissioner.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here. And I want everyone to know that our questions and how we've been proceeding is only coming from a place of compassion and respect for all of you, because we want to ensure that the Kingston Housing Authority's mission is fulfilled moving forward and that we are caring for all of our, community members. So we understand completely that we are a separate authority. We don't oversee you. We understand that. We want to make sure that we've done our job and due diligence, and when we face the people that have elected us. So that it is important for all of us that the apartments are renovated and that the future of the buildings are taken care of. And it shouldn't have had to wait this long, so.
Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Also,
Yeah.
just to note on Zoom, it's Vicky Bishop of Kingston Housing Authority. And we had our special counsel, Brian Lawler, who's actually working on the Mountco deal. He was on, I just emailed him that the meeting is back on. I'm not sure if he's gonna link back in, but he's special counsel with respect to this specific project.
Okay. How are we gonna do this?
All right, so at this point, I just want to open the floor to anyone that has questions.
I do. So this may be directed towards several people. Multi-part question. The first one, in the life of the property, the assessment has been reduced by $5 million. And I'm just wondering where we got that from. And I guess this is more geared towards Dan. Has the assessed value of the property changed in the last 20 years?
Yes, so there was a payment in lieu tax agreement on this property that expired. And the housing authority came to me and said, at the expiration of this, we would like to invoke 581A. And at that time, there was a review of the assessment. And therefore, the assessment was reduced to be in line with 581A. When there was a payment in lieu tax agreement, they were exempt and they were not required to pay taxes, so they weren't concerned with the assessed value of the property. When that was expiring, the Stuyvesant came to me and said, this is what's happening, it's expiring, it's coming off, we want to make sure that the assessment is in line. So that's what happened.
So when was the last assessment done? That we're basing these numbers off of?
The assessment's done every year.
Okay. So that was under the impression the property was based off the 1999 sale.
No.
Okay. And then I guess the follow-up question to that is, do we have an idea or what is the assessed value of this property going to be once these renovations are now completed?
Sure. it depends if also at the time, it depends if the exemption is granted or not. I would assume if the exemption is not granted, the Stuyvesant Charter will come to me and ask for 581A to be had. And then if not, we'll take a look at the property and see what it's assessed for after the redevelopment. They can also come in, no matter what, and still say, for any reason, to also have that analysis done as 581A, to have that assessment on the roll as such, whether they're exempt or not.
Super. That's all I have for now.
So I had a question for you, Mr. O'Shea, regarding the vouchers. And right now they're considered project-based vouchers where they stay with the building, the Section 8 vouchers.
Some of them are project-based vouchers. What is the question?
So at some point, do the project-based vouchers leave? Can they be portable? And if someone leaves with a voucher, will the voucher be reinstated? So that apartment is always subsidized by Section 8?
So there is a portion of the vouchers at Stuyvesant Charter that are project-based. That means they stay with the site. They're not, project-based vouchers are not portable. If a resident has a tenant-based voucher, they can, they can relocate, take that voucher with them to wherever they wish to go.
So for the terms of this agreement, how many project-based vouchers will always be part of the building?
Can I defer that question to Vicky?
48.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi. 48 of the units are project-based.
That conversation with that.
And then how many are tenant-based at this time that are in there?
Well, there's 48 project-based. There's 25 public housing units, which we're trying to convert to tenant-based vouchers. And then I think that leaves that's like 73 units that would be considered market units. And they can be a combination. I don't know the exact figures. I think I talked with somebody today and gave them, yes, Tony Davis. And gave them the numbers, the breakdown of how many vouchers. I know there's like 11 enhanced vouchers that are administered through RUPCO. And then there's a whole bunch of other units that either have a housing choice voucher through RUPCO or through KHA. And then there's ones that are just market units that we still treat as if they have assistance, but we don't get any assistance for those. We calculate their income and they pay 30% of their income and that's their rent. But whereas if you have a voucher and if they pay 30% of their income, the balance, you can charge a higher rent and the balance is paid by HUD.
So 48 will be for how long?
The 48 they've been there for, well, as long as I've been there, and they've been there for a long time, and I don't see them taking them away from us. Those 48, the project-based ones will have probably as long as, HUD says we can have them, which I would think is as, long as the property exists or the program, and I would think that program won't be going away anytime soon.
Tony, you had a question?
Yeah, so yes, I had a conversation with Vicky and Benjamin this afternoon. So those 48 units you're saying, that's regulated the price. And right, Vicky, that's what you told me. They don't have any saying it. HUD says this is what the price is April 1st. this is what the price is. And what they're seeing now, that's 3% increase, which is well below fair market value and for rent at this time. And so it does go up, they say, and they don't have to say it. Kingston Housing Work, Stuyvesant, HUD dictates this is what this increase is gonna be. It's still based, they still pay 30% of their income, and the rest is paid by the voucher. And so that's why I was saying before, from what I thought, that everybody pays 30% of their income and all these units. And there's all these other different calculations. I'm glad they do it because I would go crazy if I had to do this every month without this. Because I was going crazy just listening to them that. And that's what I got out of that, so.
So can I follow up with that? Michelle?
Yeah.
But Rita Worthington, and I also talked to Mr. Benjamin and Mr. First, thank you for speaking to me. So following up on Tony's explanation, where he says that the tenants pay 30% of their income. Is it 30% of the individual's income, or is it the AMI, 30% of AMI? The average.
30% of the tenant's income, of their actual income. And
that will be for the life, at least the life of the pilot, should we approve it? Or for the life, as long as they're living there in that apartment?
Yes, I would think so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that different? Anybody? This person is that?
I think there's language in the pilot agreement itself, right, that requires, in order for the pilot to be effective, that, the housing is for low income, affordable housing. And if for some reason it's not, then I think the pilot can be canceled. So that's one of the requirements, is that it be maintained for low income, moderate housing.
Yeah, if I could just add two things, to respond to the question, how long those 48 project-based are going to stay there. As part of the process, HUD is expected to approve a 20-year extension. So we can tell you at least 20 years, okay? And as Vicki said, usually when you get to the end of the period of the housing assistance payments contract, HUD will extend it again. But HUD is aware of this whole project, and they're going to be approving an assignment and assumption of the housing assistance to Section 8 contract from the current owner to the new owner. So those 48 are going to have at least another 20 years, most likely more than that.
Is there a possibility of bringing in more than the 48?
Well, yes, there's a possibility. One of the things that the Housing Authority and MAP has already done is we brought in what's called enhanced tenant vouchers for a group of households that were eligible at the time. I think there were 13 or 14 of them. And then the 25 households that are on receiving public housing assistance now, they're going to be converted to Section 8. So there's going to be almost 40 households that were not receiving Section 8 assistance before that will be receiving Section 8 assistance now. And those 40 will be vouchers that a resident can take and move elsewhere if they want. We don't want them to, but they have that right.
And then if they do leave, are you able to get another voucher to cover that?
Maybe, we don't know. Okay, but beyond that, even if they left, in terms of what happens to the rent on that unit, we have requirements under what's going to be a new, at least 30-year regulatory agreement with the state, as John said, to keep the development affordable. So the rent is going to be controlled, okay? And then there's the commitment that Malco and the Housing Authority made that no one, whether you're getting Section 8 or not, is going to have to pay more than 30% of their income for rent. So this development is going to be affordable for at least 30 years under the tax regulatory agreement.
So if someone is coming in, say in 5 years, there's no voucher, right? They don't have a voucher. They would have to, they could apply if they met the 60% threshold, am I?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, the only thing I would say is we believe it's gonna be 60%. Eventually, the state is gonna tell us what that number is. Sometimes they go to 80%, but we believe it's gonna be 60%.
So that's where my concern is, because the paperwork that you gave us, that was submitted to us for the pilot originally said that about 90% of the tenants now are at below 50%
Yeah,
AMI.
there's a lot of very low-income households in this development.
Right, so my concern is that in 5 years, people at that level, that very low, extremely low level, will not be able to access the apartments. So that's,
I'm not sure how, if they're in the development now and they have very low income, they will always pay 30% of their income for rent.
right,
So
but if
they will always
it's,
have the right to that unit.
right, the people that are in now, but I'm speaking about when there's a turnover.
Yep.
Say in 5 years, there's 5 apartments open,
Right.
people at the same threshold will not be able to afford.
No, but there would be people, the maximum that you could go to, I think, is gonna be 60% of median, which is still affordable. That's, we can talk to the state about that, but that's still makes it a very affordable development.
But if there's people that's really at the 30% AMI now, it's much lower.
Yeah, there are. There are.
So this is like a safety net at the bottom for the community of affordability that I feel like is disappearing with this model.
Well, that's assuming that all these people are gonna move out. I don't see that. We think that the residents are gonna stay in this development. We don't have a lot of turnover as people going elsewhere.
Well, people
Yeah,
age.
Plus, we do have the ability to go back to HUD and try to get more Section 8 certificates, but we can't guarantee that now.
What is the turnover now? I mean, do people, does anybody know that answer? Like when people move in, how long are they generally there? I know that would be.
I would say at Stuyvesant, the seniors usually stay until they need supervision, until someone goes to a nursing home. But the turnover in the senior section is incredibly low. The family section, probably there's more turnover, but again, I don't have the number exactly. Vicky, do you have?
I've been there since 2018, and I will say that people generally are not moving out. When they come, they stay.
Yeah.
We definitely have had vacancies, but a lot of it's been COVID related. And unfortunately, we had a lot of elderly people that have been there forever and they've passed away. And we've even had some younger people that have passed away. But even the younger people, that I've moved in, they're staying. They haven't gone anywhere.
I don't see why if it's affordable, why they would be leaving.
There's no place else to go.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm assuming that there's a waiting list.
Yeah, is there a waiting list?
We know that waiting list.
Yeah.
You're here on that list for 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 years.
Right.
So.
And I think with this, part of this whole thing is, and that's the back end, if we were to pass this pilot, these apartments, these units are gonna be upgraded. And I think that's gonna,
Less reason.
less reason for people to want to leave and want to stay, that their unit, their building, their complex is being beautified. Their beautification, I don't think they're gonna be leaving if, with new appliances, new floors and new, bathrooms or whatever. I don't see people leaving. And again, one reason I left, because I got married. I was born and raised, and a lot of the people I know families are still in the complexes.
Yeah.
Even the tenants that were given enhanced vouchers, which is a voucher that they could take somewhere else, they haven't taken them. They've stayed right there with them. They were given, I think in 2018, they got them. And they had the option to move out every year when they come up to, recertify, they have the option to take it and go somewhere. And we haven't really seen, they've stayed. So,
And on the other end, and people who have these vouchers that they can go from the New York City, wherever, can come up here as well with those vouchers.
yeah.
So, I mean, I think
Yeah,
that.
and the housing, the RUPCO as well as Kingston Housing, both of the Section 8 programs, their biggest problem is they have vouchers, the people can't find places to live. So, if there's vacancies, they're gonna be looking to move in with their voucher.
Yeah, I think this is a win-win situation. I think it's a win for the city and it's a win for the tenants, which is more important to me as far as these necessary upgrades and renovations. All of us already know, unfortunately, public housing, there's never enough money to renovate and to give people the quality of living that they should be in. And so for you all to want to come in and give the tenants a sense of, beautification and a sense of just pride in where they live is awesome. You don't see that a lot. And so I think it's a win-win for the city and a win-win for those residents in Stuyvesant. And I'm all go. I'm all for it.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry.
No,
Sure.
go ahead.
And then we had this discussion, and is there any way to put like some protections in here? And I was reading this rad that I got some communication about, and that it's talking about a monthly data that advises Stuyvesant. Is it advisor? What is the Stuyvesant advisory and advisory board, as well as the council? Is it? And again, is monthly data of what's going on there in regard to the construction, where it's going, and how many people might be leaving, and if that's stuff if that's possible that it could be provided, we could put some of that maybe in this thing here. And also they talked about this ground lease, which will allow the Kingston Housing Authority to be provided to continue to own land while Mount Cole owns the building for it. Is there any way to get that ground lease, that Kingston, that advisory group has that ground lease? And so they know what's going on with that. Is that stuff that can be added in here? And not actually put a pilot, that can those things be something that can be provided?
Sure, we provided, and it really, I think here's something I think everybody in this room can agree on, and that doesn't happen too often nowadays. But the concern for the residents that's been expressed by a couple of the older people, and I'm sure the whole council shares that. That's something that the Housing Authority established early on when they went out for a developer. They made that a critical part of their selection criteria. They wanted to make sure that the residents were protected and dealt with fairly and with respect. And I know that when we were interviewed, and I'm sure it was for the other developers as well, the Housing Authority made it very clear to us that that was a priority. And I'd like to think that one of the reasons they picked us was because we demonstrated to them the types of resident support that we got on all the other developments that we've done. And the Housing Authority established this resident advisory group. It meets on a monthly basis. With COVID, we had a couple of non-meetings, but basically we've been meeting for a year and a half. Marie Gillies, who's a resident commissioner, has been chairing those meetings, and Pam Lindsay has been serving as co-chair of those meetings. We provided a list of the scope of work. We provided a timeline. We provided all the information about the project that we thought was relevant and that the residents asked for. We can certainly provide copies of the documents, the ground lease and these types of things. that clearly what was important to the residents, they want to make sure that they weren't going to be bounced, okay? We're going to fix this up, and then we're going to get rid of you. Want to make sure that we're not going to pay more than 30% of their income for rent. And so we're very happy to do that, the Housing Authority in Mountco. And I just mentioned two other things. Last summer, there was a serious security issue at the development, and I'm sure you're all aware of it. It just so happened we had a resident meeting a day after that, and it was very disturbing for the residents. And what came out of that meeting was that they asked if there's anything that could be done to improve security. And Mountco wrote the check, the Housing Authority did the work and installed within 3 days, security cameras, license plate reading machines, and all that sort of stuff. We didn't ask for a loan, we didn't ask for it, you're gonna pay us back. We had a commitment to the residents, and we're gonna honor that throughout the process. One of the things that came out is this whole issue of, you can talk about, we're gonna do a kitchen or a bathroom or whatever. Coming out of those meetings, we actually wound up building a model unit so that the residents could come and see what their units were gonna look like. And they had comments. They didn't, I'll tell you, one of them was the tub was too high, so I gotta change the tub. One of them didn't like the couch. There's a lot of stuff that came out of that process, and the process that we've had was really, it was very significant, and I think we all agree, we don't want tenant disenfranchisement. Here, we have exactly the opposite of that, okay, with the relationship we have with the residents. And one of the things that created tenant empowerment was giving them an ability to say, we like this, we don't like that. And the other is for the almost 40 Section 8 vouchers that we brought in, that created tenant empowerment because those residents can take those vouchers and go wherever they want. That's an empowering thing to give somebody the ability to go do that when they haven't been able to do that. It's empowering to take somebody that's been considered a public housing resident with the stigma that's attached to that sometime and say, you know what, you're not public housing anymore. You're like everybody else here, okay?
You're a resident.
You're a resident, okay? And you can stay here, you can move, you can do whatever it is you want, but this is what we're doing, this is how we're gonna help you. So that whole process has really been an example, a great example of working with the tenants, tenant empowerment, and making sure that the tenants understand. So it's a long answer to your question. Yes, we can provide all the documents. We brought in, we have a funding application that's in a binder, it's probably this big. We brought that to one of the meetings a couple of months ago, and everybody's thumbing through it and looking at the pictures, but we'll share everything that we have, and we have no problem doing that with the residents.
And again, and I know, you know, if you just keep us advised and, you know, through, I mean, you probably can just come through Randy or whatever, this how the construction is going, if this pilot's approved and where the construction is and stuff like that. And that'd be mindful to us, helpful to us too, just to know where, you know, especially me, since it's in my ward, where is this project going, where does it stand right now?
So we can give you monthly reports, we can come quarterly or monthly, whatever you would like, we're happy to do. We're doing it with the residents. We're happy to keep you guys informed as we go along. And that resident group that's established, that's going to continue after we're done with the rehab. That isn't just for the rehab. This is going to be a group that's going to have direct communication, you know, for the rest of the, you know, their involvement. So.
Just one comment, that shouldn't come through Alderman Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So it can go to another.
Since, and not to delay or prolong this meeting, but, since we do have chair of the tenant association, can we just give our opportunity to just say anything?
Yeah.
Did you want to, I mean, are you satisfied with, how those meetings went, the information that has been shared with all of the tenants and the residents?
Well, this is the thing. To begin with, I am a tenant. So therefore, it means that I'm related to the tenants. We work together. And you'll be surprised to see when they come, how do they appreciate the way we conducted the meeting. And also, my role is, if there are things at the beginning I would have not liked, or they do not like, we express ourselves. We mention it to John or to any people like other managers like that doing the assessments. And they studied it. And as a matter of fact, after that, I went to the board, I reported it, this is the way I feel and this is what's going on. So now, after they do the dust studies, John came to the board meeting with the new solution. This is what you wanted, guys, and this is what we are gonna give you. This is what we are offering to you. So therefore, within a call, when we have the next meeting with the advisory group, everybody to begin with, we send letter to them, letting them know that we're gonna have the meeting. And also everything that is gonna happen toward the meeting. And the people do agree and satisfied. As a matter of fact, I believe they probably sent letters because the comments, they do that. I don't know if you guys ever pay attention.
We got one from Paul. We got one from Paul.
So that is to say, we are working together. And they are pleased and we are satisfied and they are happy. Therefore, we are going along very well.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
That's pleasure. Thank you very much for allowing me to go.
All right. Everyone?
I do. Just to bring it back, can you, like on the RFQ, it was indicated, and forgive me if I get this wrong, that you originally thought you could do it with a 518A, and then it changed over to the pilot. Why?
Very simple answer. The state representatives requested that we go back to the city and ask if the city would provide a pilot. And the reason is, and the assessor I'm sure could tell you, the 581A, the payments under 581A could vary from year to year depending on what the operating costs are and the expenses and income. Pilots provide predictability. The state is going to provide $26 million in tax exempt bonds. It's going to provide $6 million in a subsidy loan, a low interest subsidy loan, and an allocation of 4% tax credits. They would like to know what the predictability is. They want to know what the taxes are going to be this year, next year, going out. And a pilot gives them that. So, and I appreciate you asking the question because, I'm not picking on our friends in the newspapers, but it appeared that there was some sense that somehow we switched. We told the housing authority we were going to do 581A, and then we changed our mind and we went to something else. We changed our mind because the state funding agency, which was providing most of the funding, asked us to come back to the city and ask for a pilot. So that's what we've done.
So I have a question, just to go after that. I attended the Kingston Housing Authority board meeting, last meeting, and it was said that the state wasn't going to require a pilot and that you could go with a 581A. So my question then is to Dan. So I know that the pilot is best for the project, right? But for the city standpoint, what is best?
The pilot.
Pilot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that kind of brings me back to my question, and I could be way off on here, but if this was a privately held entity, like if I just said, I'm going to build a 20-unit complex and, granted Kingston has the 10% rule, but that excluded, if I was just building this and I was going to charge $3,000 a month per unit, and then it comes time to get assessed, my assessment on that is going to be huge.
Would be different than a 581A assessment.
Correct. But, when we're talking about, and I have to preface this, nobody here is saying you guys don't deserve this. Like, I have to reiterate that again, it's been said multiple times. No one here is saying you don't deserve this, but we are here at the request of a 32-year pilot where, you know, again, we're taking a payment instead of the taxes on the thing. So if this was an individual property, it would be assessed completely differently. And just because it's 100% for public housing, the assessment's completely different. Like if it was based on actual market value numbers right now, we would be, you know, that the same property would be assessed at probably $1 million for, you know, annual property taxes. And here we are, you know, their payment is more than what the property taxes are now, but the property taxes now are not really based upon current situations in the city of Kingston. You know, I wish there was.
Because it's affordable housing, that's why.
But that doesn't change the property.
But it changes the economics.
Yeah, the idea is, especially on the state statute specifically says for low-income housing, you're allowed to pay a lesser formula, because the idea is they're not offering market rate. So you're thinking of it as a developer who's putting in 120 units is going to be charging market rate. Of course, that value is high, but if you were to do that to this project, there's no way they'd be able to get low-income housing because they'd have to up the rents. So it's not going in anybody's pocket. You know, this pilot, you know, a lot of people have concerns about pilots because they think developers are getting away with money. Why aren't they paying their fair share? The reason for the pilot is so that they can charge 30%, so that they can charge such and provide low and affordable housing. So basically, but for this pilot, there's no reason they'd be able to charge such low rents. And that's why the state has the fallback of the real property law 481A as another option in case the city doesn't go through with it. But as John had mentioned, the state requested the pilot because, again, you have a 30-year certainty.
Anybody else?
Dan, if you have those figures there, Mrs. X and Dan, can you tell me what they're paying and?
So right now, they pay about $815 a unit. That would move to about $1,200 a unit plus 2% increases each year. So that gains some certainty for the taxing jurisdictions as well. It's not just going to stay stagnant. In addition, there's that $120,000 impact fee to the city of Kingston. And hopefully, you know, maybe those are for improvements that are in and around or near that site, potentially. That would be obviously up to the common council and the executive to make that decision. So this is a net benefit with regard to finances for the city. Because that $1,200 is a little bit above what that 581A number would be calculated at. So if it's above a little bit above the 581A number, and in addition, there's the one-time impact fee to the city.
I think I just have one last question.
I have one more question.
Okay, great.
No, go on.
No, you go first.
We've heard from tenants.
Yeah.
What about the commissioners? How did the whole process go? Did you feel you were getting more questions answered?
I feel more comfortable after tonight knowing it's gonna be all low income, because I believe it should be all low income housing. I didn't agree with anybody that is over income and paying 30% of your rent. And I do feel that people need to be motivated to move on so that others can move in. I do like the tenant portability, but they answered my question with that, meaning that it was gonna remain at market rent. Even if they moved, it'd still be affordable housing.
Okay.
And I do like the fact that it's gonna be renovated because the people have been living in those conditions for over 20 years.
Joe?
So, No.
Wait, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, he's misheard him, so I'm sorry.
So, as I sit here and listen, and I'm very humble in what I have to say. And And I know there's a lot of clarity that was given. And all of us are getting educated every single day to learn what's going on. But the overall, we have to learn about the people, and that's the tenants. We have to come together as a community and put the differences aside and make things happen. Not while we're in front of each other, even when the doors are closed. You have to sleep at night by doing the right thing. If you can't do the right thing, you will not sleep at night. Be true to each other, be true to ourselves, be true as a community. All right? When I came to Kingston in 1989, I lived on budget 19. I'm a testimony. And I know it's hard, and it's hard for tenants, it's hard for anybody. But if you work hard, you can be successful. If we work together, we can make a community even better. Yes, there's budgets, there's dollars and cents, but the bottom line, we have to make sure everybody's living right in this community. There's no reason why that these apartments should be looking back to what they are since 1974, and it was beautiful then. Now, I know for a fact that whoever have homes and apartments now, you've upgraded a lot of times, over and over. How fair is it for somebody to live in a development and nothing has been done other than a new washing machine, not even a washing machine, but a stove or a refrigerator? You can sleep at night when that happens. It's sad. Be right and do right. And we all have to work together as a team. There's no I in team. It doesn't matter who it is. But we have to work together to make things happen. And I appreciate everybody in this building. But I'm asking, let's work as a team. Let's work together. And let's put the differences aside, no matter what it is. But work as a team. We can make this happen. Speak positive in the media. Speak positive in the world. Speak positive, period. And we start speaking positive, we'll see the right things develop. We can shake hands and smile all the time. And it should happen anyway, no matter who it is. Look at this society. I know it might be a little off track, but it's still involved with what we're talking about now. Work together. There's too much happening in society right now that we cannot work together and make things happen. I'm not speaking for me, I'm speaking for the tenants. I'm speaking for this community, period. Everybody should be looking out for each other and doing the right things. Stop talking about it and be about it. Let's make it happen. Enough is enough. I'm tired of it. And I don't think I'm just speaking for me, I'm speaking for a lot of people. Let's be fair to each other. Let's do the right things. I'm here for you, you're here for me, we're here for each other. We can do this. I'm sorry,
No,
but
that's okay.
that's how I feel right now.
Ms.
Can I
Knox?
say, yes,
Okay.
I do, yes. When I was appointed to the board, I was appointed by Mayor Gallo and Shane. So when I first was appointed, Malco, the deal, they were working it out and trying to get this project up. So time went on. And then Shane lost the election and Mayor Noble was elected. So still got the Malco deal, going on and on. And what I'm passionate about this particular deal that we're doing is that Joe and I and the executive director at that time, it wasn't Ben, we went to see the mayor because the mayor had concerns about how they got chose. Okay, how everybody, once the RFQ was sent out, that Mount got chose. So, Mayor Noble, because he wasn't the mayor, he had concerns. So we wanted, as the commissioners, we wanted to make sure that we were on the same page as the mayor. Okay, we wanted him to be a part of this project. Okay? We wanted him to be, truly wanted him to be a part of it. So we listened to his concerns. We looked back in the minutes because, you know, these kinds of things take a long time. And he wasn't satisfied. So we said, okay, we'll put the bid out again. And that's what we did. We put out the RFQ, get the RFQ. We put it out again. And he even said, because a lot of work had went into it. We stand on the shoulders of Dan Mills, what was his name? He died. What was his name? Ed Palladino.
Yeah.
So we stand on the shoulders of those commissioners that were the original commissioners that had chosen Malcolm. So, but again, Mayor Noble wasn't the mayor, so he didn't understand how we got to this point. So we put it back out, and he even said, if they're the best ones, then they'll get it. He just had questions. And again, we wanted to be on the same page. We wanted to let him know we wanted to partner with him. He's for affordable housing. That's what his part of his platform is to make sure that people have decent and affordable housing, and that's what our mission is. So we put the bid back out there, and Malco sweetened their bid. They had a good bid anyway, but they sweetened it because they really wanted this project to go through. And so 3 companies were chosen. Ben is the best executive director that there is, I think. Okay, so along with him, Brian Lawler, and we have Chris Betts. So we have top-notch. We have a top-notch team. We have people that know what they're doing. They know what's going on and what's not going on. So we made sure, and we made sure that we were transparent in every single step we made. Because with me being on the board, we're gonna be transparent. Because I just don't want to be bothered with anything. I don't want to be bothered with any backdoor deals, no buddies, no pals, none of that. I want what's best for the residents. So we put it back out there. There was a scoring process, and you guys are definitely privy to that. Because again, nothing was done underhandedly, and it could be reviewed, and Malco was the best for the job, so they got the job. Well, after they did all the scoring and everything, then Ben brought it to the board, and then Malco came to the board and presented to us. They showed us all of the projects they've already done. We've seen videos of tenants and how, whether or not they were satisfied or not. And I'm gonna make y'all listen to me because I had to wait till y'all did all. So it was, we were convinced because they are for real. And they want what's best for the tenant. And like Marie said, the tenants told them, we want this, we want that, and we want this. And the mayor said, and the mayor's for this, because he said he wanted to make sure that when they redevelop these apartments, that when they go in and start gutting things out and pulling this apart, that he didn't want any of the tenants to be displaced. He was adamant about that. And it will not be at the expense of the Kingston Housing Authority. Malco will take on that expense if residents need to go live someplace else while they get their unit fixed. So this has been done, and whatever you guys want to see that's legal, because again, we got top notch. We ain't nothing shaky about this. As long as it's legal for you to see it, you're welcome to see it. Every step that we took, because we did it up and above board. And I hope that you know this is good for the city and that you will give us the power so we can get that unit, go with that. Get fixed.
Thank you for sharing that history, because we're not aware that it was going back that far, so.
But just one more thing.
Yeah.
Since March is like, we gotta wait. Now, one thing we do is, we don't work on murky water. We're not doing murky here, and I don't care who it is. We're not dealing with murky. We're dealing with clarity, and it's pure. Nothing other than that. So anything that you all ask, you receive. If anything you still want to ask, we'll receive.
I only have one more question, and that was about expanding it. So I just wanted to make sure that the deal with the state doesn't lock us into only being able to do this, that there definitely could be expanded, because that is a lot of property there. And it is, you know, an opportunity that needs to be
That's a great question.
taken advantage of. So I hope that.
And actually, the language is kind of contemplates that in draft language in the pilot agreement about if there's an expansion. So,
And we've already looked, working with the housing authority, there is space, okay, physical space, where we could put some additional units on. And the way that the legal structure is being presented to the state, they're aware of that as well. So we can go ahead and do this renovation, and there'll be legal provisions that if we can get planning and zoning approval, because there are egress issues and some other things, and that would be financed separately. But going ahead with this development is not going to prohibit the development of another X number of units. And again, we're talking low rise, consistent with what's there. You know, we're not going to build a 10-story building next to these. So yes.
I'm just gonna.
So yes, the answer is yes, it definitely can be done.
Thank you, guys. Thank you
Thank you.
for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
You can come next one too. All right.
Okay, can I get a motion to enter into discussion or?
Motion.
Motion, second, okay. Yeah. Yes. Make the motion.
I motion it,
Okay.
Steve second.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, any discussion?
Steve second.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh,
Okay.
I think we've had enough discussion. I have.
Okay, okay,
Answer?
call for a vote. All in favor?
No, you gotta read the resolution.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry too. Authorizing the exemption of parcel SBL 48.74-38 under PHFL section 572 and 577, additionally authorizing the mayor to execute a payment in lieu of tax agreement and payment in lieu of tax mortgage by and among the City of Kingston, Stuyvesant Apartments Owners LLC, and Stuyvesant Housing Development Fund Company Incorporated. Estimated financial impact, $120,000 positive.
Second.
Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
So passes 3-1 and
Should be four.
four, yeah. Okay. You're sitting in, yeah.
So,
great.
Okay, so passes 4-1.
Yes.
So passes. I'm clapping.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, you got it. Chair, do you come back right now to close out, or does the chair do it?
All right.
Okay, hold up the meeting. Good job.
Like to, anyone make a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor? Meeting has ended at 9:48.
Well, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
Good night, Tony.
All right, thank you for those questions. The answers. I'll be over next month to look at the budget.
Okay.
Tony, you still got to sign.
Oh, I still got to sign.
Thank you.
See you, Joe. Take care, man. I see you. Take care. Brandon gets one. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.